Hey guys, so the Pentagon finally released its 9-page UFO report, which was actually more like 6 pages or more like a few pages, maybe 2 pages, because I don't know. They had like the front cover counts as a page. They had the copyright page, the appendix, the glossary, the table of contents, the forward, the acknowledgments, the thank yous. And then it goes down to like a couple paragraphs, but that's okay. Some people are disappointed because they wanted it to say, there's aliens. We have the Roswell bodies and we have the crash debris and all this stuff like this. But remember, this was a preliminary report, as it even calls itself. And there's a lot of key points to be excited about. It's actually really exciting. I'm excited about it, and I'll tell you why. Be excited, because for the first time in recent history, the government is acknowledging UFOs as a serious subject of interest. They're not saying it's aliens, but it could be aliens. They're not saying that it's not aliens. So they're taking it seriously, and they're admitting that they can't explain 99% of the unidentified flying objects. Next, from the report, the investigators were convinced that the majority of the sightings were actual physical objects. 143 of the 144 sightings were unidentified. 80 of them included data from multiple sensors. That's exciting. That means it's not just video, it's not just a picture, but they had multiple data, whether it was radar, sonar, whatever. 11 of them, investigators believed that there was a near-miss collision with US personnel. In 18 incidents described in 21 reports, observers reported unusual UAP movement patterns or flight characteristics. There were no signs, no visible propulsion. They appeared to use technology that's beyond the known capabilities of the US or its adversaries. So what does that mean? They were beyond the capabilities of the US or its adversaries. So what's left? Does the government know more? Of course they do. And they're not trying to hide that fact. The public received the little report. The intel community received the more top secret full report. The other thing is they decided to release this on Friday at 4 p.m., which generally means they don't want a lot of media attention. There's not enough time to create a big story, and everyone's going away for the weekend. If they really wanted this to be a big thing, they would do it on Monday morning. Do they have alien bodies? Do they have the UFO wreckage? Do they know this is extraterrestrial? That I don't know, but you guys can debate that in the comments section. They never mentioned extraterrestrials in that, of course, but they did say other, that if it's not this, if it's not this, if it's not this, it could be other. And we know what other means, of course. What did they say about the unidentified aerial phenomena being a threat? Okay. Well, according to the report, these UAPs are a threat. And that's because they're in restricted airspace. And also, they pose a threat to pilots, crashing and all that stuff, okay? And some people are concerned about the government looking at this as a threat because if it's a threat, that means maybe they'll wage war, maybe they will take, action against them and stuff like that. And my hope is that they don't do this, okay? The only benefit to saying that it's a threat is that they're going to study this thing. They're going to take it seriously, okay? Because before, when they just don't care about it, and the military wasn't reporting on it because of the stigma, and because, it was just like Joe Schmo out in the desert sees a UFO. Those are the only stories about it, and this, and then, maybe Roswell, and, maybe a couple things were serious or whatever, but now they're taking it seriously, and they're not going to do that unless they see it as a threat. So that's the only benefit I see of calling it a threat, is that they'll get funding so they can actually study this thing. And my hope, and I'm sure your hope, is that they don't see it as a real threat where they're going to start, taking action against them when they're in restricted space. The other awesome thing about this is the stigma is now lifted. It really is. And even in this report, they're encouraging, or maybe even requiring, pilots and other military personnel to report UFOs, UAPs, to actually try to track it and report this and to talk about it and to not keep it inside like people have been doing for decades and decades. finally the stigma is lifted and they're going to take it seriously. And that's amazing. That's awesome. And our hope, of course, is that there's some leaks, lots of leaks. My hope is that the stuff that we're not allowed to see will be leaked. I'm optimistic because the whole reason why we're talking about this right now is because of things that leaked and because of exposés. The former director of national intelligence said in a recent interview that frankly there are a lot more sightings than have been made public. And listen to what he says.
Look, the bottom line is with unidentified aerial phenomenon, many cases, Dan, we're able to explain it away for reasons like visual disturbances or weather phenomenon or foreign adversaries and their technologies, or even our own experimental technologies with certain aircraft and vehicles. But what this report really underscores, Dan, is that that there are a number of instances, and the specific number remains classified, but a number of instances where we've ruled all of that out. And there are technologies that we don't have, and frankly, that we're not capable of defending against based on those things that we've seen, multiple sensors. In other words, where not just people visually see it, but where it's picked up on radar, where it's seen on satellites. And so, it's an issue of national security, and as the person who was informing policymakers about national security threats, it's not good to say, gosh, we don't have good answers. And so we have to have a larger discussion to try and figure out specifically, what this is all about. So I'm glad that information's out.
The immediate concern is very twofold. One, this is a technology that we don't completely understand, and it seems to be defying our understanding of physics. And secondly, whoever's operating it or whoever's behind it, these aerial phenomena, seems to be keenly interested in our military capabilities. Well, I think the next part will be breaking down the stigma that exists, especially amongst legislators, particularly amongst pilots outside of Congress.
Now, I've heard all different views over the last week about UFOs and about this report. Some of them are just, it's amazing what people say. Someone on a news channel, I don't even know who this guy was, but he was obviously important because they were interviewing him. And he said that it can't be alien, though, because that's not how the universe works. I want you to check out the video that I made several days ago, and it's about what really is extraordinary. And I make the case that it's actually more extraordinary that Russia or China has come out with this technology, and it's these physics-defying technology, and they've been flying it into our airspace, our protected airspace, our restricted airspace, and we didn't even know about this for maybe 75 years, okay? But at least 2004 when the when the Tic Tac UFO was shot and all this stuff. I mean, there's and I go over all the other extraordinary claims, and I make the case that it being alien is actually not extraordinary, okay? And that's because we have so trillions of stars, okay? And you'll see in that video what I say about that. Within our own galaxy, we have 300 million potentially habitable planets, okay? That's a lot of potentially habitable planets, okay? And we're talking about maybe just one out of all of this has had a head start on us. Anyway, thanks for watching. This is a brand new UFO plus music, as I do synthwave music channel, and so I want you to subscribe and hit that notification bell and hit the like button and all that stuff so I can grow this channel and spread the word. I'm going to be covering UFOs a lot, and have an awesome weekend and have an awesome week and be excellent to each other.